All right, folks, it is time for the TWiP Pro Photo Critique number 126. This is a live stream, as you know, if you are in the chat room with us. If you are in the chat room with us, please make sure you, I hate saying this, but like and subscribe this video, subscribe to this video channel to help feed the YouTube algorithms. And chime in the chat while we're doing this. This week's topic was looking up, as suggested by the illustrious Troy Miller, who's right here standing by to chat with us. And we're gonna do this, man. Did you see all the submissions for looking up?
I did. I even picked a couple favorites. So,
Oh,
yeah.
good. I had trouble picking a favorite. We'll say that. So, except mine. I like mine is really cool. I like what I
I think
submitted.
mine is really cool. I think mine is really cool.
I think it is too, but I have to officially say we are disqualified from picking our own stuff. But I think there are better ones than mine in there, so this should be easy. Anything you wanna bring us up to date on before we get started? You got an event coming up this week, right? This Wednesday on IEPPV.
Yeah, my daughter Kira is going to be on with me on Wednesday. We're going to be talking about websites, basically how they work, how to set one up, how what WordPress means, what a domain name means, how to host, all those things. Kind of an intro into getting a website up and running. So.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Well, I'm interested to hear what she says regarding, the age-old argument of WordPress versus Squarespace. So
Ah.
that argument still rages. So I'm curious to hear what a real bona fide designer says about that. And I'm gonna be in. I'm gonna try to get in there, and I'm gonna ask the question. And none of that. It depends on what your uses are. None of that. I want to hear definitively: is WordPress or Squarespace better right now? 2020, August of 2020. Who's winning?
Right.
So.
Well, yeah, she's good at answering questions, so
I
she.
know, I know. That's why I ask. I want to ask her because she's one of the few designers I know that will give a straight answer. So I'm looking forward to that. Well, cool. What do you say we dive into the critique for this week?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let me go ahead and share my screen somehow. There we go. Oops. And there we go. All right, here we go. Off into the races. Reminder, I just posted that. Okay, here's one from me. I posted this last, so it's last in, first up, right? So this shot, I was actually shot yesterday. I played around with it last night. It was downtown San Francisco. It is scary, deserted downtown San Francisco.
Really?
I mean, yeah, it's I only saw, the only people I saw down there were a few cars and homeless people. I saw maybe one, literally, I'm not even exaggerating, maybe one or two just pedestrians walking around, just, making their way to wherever. But it was like tumbleweed movie set empty,
Mm.
backlot Universal empty. It was crazy. Um, yeah, but it's crazy. So this shot was obviously at the Academy of Art University, downtown San Francisco. My nephew's here visiting, and we decided to take a drive over there to just put real eyes on versus Google Street View eyes on the school. And yeah, which it was not a representative of what the school is, because completely black, all the windows, the beautiful windows with the art in them that they have out there, was all boarded up with, painted black. It just looks weird. It's like hard. It's so weird down
It's so
there.
weird.
I've been down there a million times, but it's hard to even get your bearings as to where you are because all the landmarks are different. It's so weird.
Right, right. Well, I do love the shot. We don't see all of that, so it's sad that that's
Hmm.
happening. I can't wait for things to get back to normal. I want to go
Yeah.
out to sushi and give hugs and hang out.
Yeah, imagine that. Yeah, none of that's happening right now.
But this is a
But this
great.
shot was shot on an iPhone, so it was my iPhone, and it was the skies thrown in there later in Luminar. So because the sky, you never see clouds like this in San Francisco. It's always just blue or gray, right?
Yeah.
So I put some other part of country clouds in the shot just to give it a little interest and get rid of that blue swath. But I don't know. I like it. I still have reservations about completely committing to adding skies and stuff in later. It really feels like, I mean, I don't know. It feels like cheating, but then I like the result. So I don't know.
You know,
I'm torn.
I think the thing about skies is that it's a natural it's a natural ad, right? It's like putting a bird on a wire. It's normal and it's not weird. It's not like adding a dragon, to a street scene, which is,
Yeah.
completely artistic and interpretive. You can add clouds without really betraying the scene,
Yeah. Yeah.
for the most part. So it feels safe. It feels safe. It looks good.
I like the phrase betraying the scene. I like that. That's a book title, or at least a blog post title. All right, well, cool. That was my shot, my iPhone entry for this week. Um, Next up, Stephen Sharf. Stephen Sharf says skyline triangles looking up in the city, shot on his Fuji film XH1. Am I just getting older? Or am I just losing track of all these different brands and model numbers? Like I used to know them by heart. Like, oh, I know what that is. And whenever you would say the letters and numbers that make up a brand, I would like get a picture of that body in my head. Now I don't. It's just unless it's my own stuff. It's like what Nikon. A1Z. What does that look like? So I don't know.
I agree. And you know what? I would love to be able to go for a whole period of time, right? Say a year or a quarter, and nobody is allowed to mention their gear at all. We can't talk, no
Mm,
gear. You can't mention what lens you shot it with, what specs you use, nothing. We can only talk about, the imagery.
I like it. I
I,
like it.
I
I
would
think
love
that's a good experiment to try to do. Let's do it.
it would be tough, but we could do it for
I
like
know. I know.
3 weeks. We'll do three. We'll start small.
There you go. There you go. Well, what do you
Small.
think of this shot? Steven's got a key line on here. He's got a thick black border on here. His processing is on point as usual. Clearly a sky from a city that doesn't have many clouds. I wonder where that is, Steven Sharp. So, what do you think? What do you think of the shot?
It's great. I love the architecture. I really appreciate the fact that we're looking up, but the building in the lower right hand corner seems naturally vertical, and it's not part of the parallax, right? So normally when you look up at tall buildings, they converge at some point, and normally we see them coming in from angles. I like how this one is, it looks like it's normal. It looks like it's on a normal horizon, which is great. And then the other building is leaning into it, which adds a lot of tension. It feels like it's
Mhm.
leaning into it. So I love the shapes and the lines in here. I think it's great. The
I
treatment.
wonder when I was doing that shot, the shot I did, the sort of looking up at the sky shot. Again, the thing that plays me with landscape and to some degree street photography, it's always how do you do something different than what was done before? Especially people that live in cities like this, they see this all the time. They just glance up and this is what they see. So how do you make it more interesting without, like you say, betraying the image? Right, without putting, King Kong climbing up one of those buildings to make it interesting. How do you, how do you make it interesting, Troy Miller?
Time of day. You have to wait. I mean, that's every landscape shot is it comes down to time of day, the moment, the right lighting, weather, clouds, bird migration, whatever, right? Like it's time
Mhm.
of day. So if you want to do something that's unique in a spot where anybody can stand, you have to wait, and you got to come back and try it over and over and over. That's one of the things
Yeah.
that Ansel Adams sort of I learned from him and Rob Galbraith, and trying to think, there's another guy, I can't think of his name right now, but when there's a storm or adverse weather, that's when you go out and you get those shots because they'll be
Yeah.
unique.
Yeah, I think it was Valerie. Was it Valerie Jardin or another well-known street photographer was telling me once that they hunt for shots. They sort of loosely preconceive shots. Like they'll see a location, for example, and it's the perfect outdoor Parisian scene with the table and the awning and all that. They see like color elements in. They're like, man, wouldn't it be great if a woman with a red dress was walking by from left to right, and I caught that. So they'll camp and wait for that to happen,
Yeah,
and get that shot.
I think that one of the lessons for all of us is that if you're going to stand somewhere and you're going to take a photo, you got to ask yourself, how can I take this photo different than what anybody else would do if they were standing here?
Hmm.
And that's perspective, and that's using your gear. That's time of day. Most people don't get up early in the morning and wait, when a storm's coming through, or whatever. They won't go out in a lightning storm to get that shot,
Yeah.
or wait for that person in a red dress. They don't wait. So
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, there's a million ways to approach anything, right? And one of the ways that, some people approach, let's say, street photography, or even just like walking around on a day in the city, getting shots, is serendipity, right? It's like, you know what? I got a great camera. I got this Fuji. I'm gonna go out there. I got an empty memory card, and I got some time. I'm gonna go out there and capture some stuff, right? Versus, which is nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying that's wrong, but then there's the school of thought where it's more planned. It's like, okay, I'm working on this picture story, and it's missing a shot of someone doing X, Y, and Z. I'm gonna go out hunting for that specific shot. So yeah, I hear
yeah,
you right. Yeah, that's like what you mentioned. Trying to get the different angle, especially in landscape shots, is I think why myself and maybe some other people shy away from landscape photography, because it just feels like, and move towards taking photos of people, because the landscape photography, it always feels like. I mean, I've been to Yosemite a million times, and every time I go there and I see El Capitan, I'm like, that's beautiful. That's a great shot, but it's been done. How can I do this justice if I take a shot of this and process it? And, how can I get a great shot of this? Even now, especially now, the drones are not even allowed in the park. So how
right.
do you get a shot that wasn't done before? So I don't know. Whereas with models, you could put a model on El Capitan or a bride, right? And you're good.
You know what? Pretty much most shots have already been done. It's just,
Yeah.
can you do that shot better or in a more unique way? And sometimes that's light, that's technique. So yeah, you're right. But you've got to try, or just go there to collect the shot. When I went to
Hmm.
Jackson Hole, Wyoming, there's a very famous shot of the Snake River by Ansel Adams. Um, and I'm never going to duplicate his shot, but I wanted to collect that image for myself from that spot. So I did, and I'm happy with it, but it's no Ansel Adams.
Yeah. Yeah. See, maybe that's it. See, you're full of these like sage words today, Troy. Because to you want to collect shots for yourself, not have to look at other people. So who cares if the Golden Gate Bridge has been shot from every conceivable point in a bubble around it? It hasn't been shot by you with that camera at that particular point in time. So go get it. It's yours.
But there's no illusion for me, and I think most people, that it's the best shot of that. It's just I'm just collecting it for today, but you never know what you're gonna get, so you got to go out and try.
Yeah. Yeah. So on the
So
on Steven's shot here, you're, as the community well knows, you're a very big fan of black and white, key lines and borders. All
yeah,
three are present here. So is this hitting all the notes for you?
yeah, good. I love it. I love it. I wish it had a little bit of a chin at the bottom, a little bit heavy at the base on the matting.
Mm,
So bump the
okay.
image a little bit, slightly thinner at the top, slightly heavier at the bottom. But that's being nitpicky on matting. I think it would do better if it was slightly higher. And there is in the image, and I don't know what it is, but off of the parallel to the left image, the left building, there's a highlight that comes out of the corner. Yeah, there's something going
Mhm.
on in the sky. I don't know if it's a mask or if it's a flare.
Maybe I would, if I had to put money on it, I'd say it's a flare.
Probably
But
a flare.
Stephen Sharf is in the chat. He'll let us know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
cool shot. Yeah, very good architecture. All right, moving right along. We're gonna pick up the pace a little bit because we have a ton to go through.
Yeah.
Here's yours. Tell us about yours. You said, yep, infrared with a little spicy jello sprinkles on top. There you go.
So
What's the
yeah,
deal?
this was shot on infrared, an infrared converted camera. And when infrared comes out, doesn't come out black and white. It comes out very, very, very magenta. But there's two channels of color, cyan and magenta. So this is considered faux color. And so when you flip it after you've processed it in the raw, you get a blue sky, and you get these yellow trees. And I did drop some clouds in using some luminar. Didn't go exactly as planned, but got really close. So
Yeah. You and I have to do a show or something on Luminar, because you and I were having a dialogue back and forth last night on chat about some of the great parts and some of your frustrations. I think it'd be good to, chat with other people just to have a candid perspective on what a working pro thinks of using that app and its powers versus some of the limitations in the user interface.
Sure, sure. But this is just one of those, we've been talking about infrared quite a bit in the community, and this is just another extreme within what you can do with infrared.
Mm-hmm.
Infrared just purely black and white all the time. You do have a lot of latitude in your ability to create with infrared. So it's really fun. It's very cool.
So this is a composite. So the rocks in the background in this shot, that's regular, right? That's not infrared. That's
No, it is.
that's actually that is infrared? Okay.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. It just so happened that that color went, magenta, which we know Zion has, the dark red rocks. It just
Yeah,
happened.
yeah.
Yeah. And that's one of the reasons I shot it infrared, knew that I would flip it later, because I knew that that color would happen. So normally those rocks are cyan. When you shoot an infrared and then you white balance, then when you flip it, cyan becomes magenta. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, very fun.
Cool.
Very,
So I'm,
very
I'm
fun.
guessing you have no regrets on having that body converted to infrared, right?
I've had like 6 bodies converted. No, no, it was not.
Oh, interesting. So Stephen Sharf in the chat says, let me bring up his comment. He says, personally, I would never do a sky replacement for a landscape shot. Real estate is fine. Landscape, no. Just my 2 cents. Why do you say that? Never is
I,
a strong word. Never is a really definitive, permanent word.
well, it depends, and if you have a landscape shot and it's just not quite perfect, if it needed a little cloud, I say add the cloud. That's artistic interpretation, no different than taking a color image and converting it to black and white. That didn't exist. You interpreted that, or you go back to film days, Ansel Adams putting a red retin-A filter in front of his camera. That isn't real either. So it's all
Hmm.
interpretation of the scene. So, but
Yeah,
it's
I agree 100% with that. That's kind of what I was gonna say, because it's like how do I get this comment off the screen? Um, it's kind of like it's up to interpretation and where you find joy in what you're doing. So if and what the end result is. So if you find joy in placing restrictions on yourself, like, I got to nail it in camera. I can't do anything in post because that's not true to the art. That's, betraying the art form. If that's where you're those that's the box you want to put yourself in, that's fine. But if you, on the other hand, say, you know what, I want to tell a story with this, and I just want people that see this shot to enjoy it, A, B, and C, whatever, and how I get to that final destination that gives me that warm fuzzy, who cares? So yeah, and that's the
go.
joy of photography. It doesn't matter. It's all up to you.
Yeah, yeah, go for it. Go for it. I do think that it's important that we're honest about the image, though. So, if you get a landscape and you've got 9 lightning bolts in there, and somebody asks you if you got that in a single shot, tell them, no, I composited in the lightning bolts, because that's true. Don't avoid the question.
Right.
It's stuff like that. Like nobody really cares. Like, it's your art, but I think honesty in your image helps people to appreciate what you were able to create. You know, if you asked me if I put clouds in this and I said no, no, of course not, doesn't make me a better photographer.
Yeah,
It
no, it
just,
doesn't. It makes you a better photographer in the eye of the beholder, right? Because it's like, and the uninformed beholder, because they're like, "Whoa, look at you are able to get that. You're a golden god," right?
but you know what? Uh, uh, the more professional you get, the harder it is to BS you. So,
Right,
so
right. Well, we'll leave that on this comment from Joshua. Sorry, low base guy. Low base guy says, "What is real? How do you define real? If you're talking about what you can feel, what you can smell, taste, and see, then real is simply electrical signals interpreted by your brain." I did that in my best Morpheus voice because this is a quote from The Matrix. So, but
well
it's
done.
true, right? There is no such thing as real in this context. It's all electrical impulses. But at some point you got to draw the line.
Joshua, I want to know, did you just type that out of your head or did you go get that quote?
Exactly. Because that either way you get a couple of geek cred points, but if
awesome.
that came from memory, then that's 10 points right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, cool. All right, moving right along. Moving right along to the next shot here. Close off Troy Miller. Mark Charette is up with a shot of Craig Stampley. Mark says, looking up to the very tall Craig Stampley. This is a reprocess you may have seen from our visit back in February, shot with his 15 millimeter Sigma fisheye at ground level. Let's take a look. Look at that. He's a giant.
I
Paul
like
Bunyan.
The only challenge is did they add the clouds? Were the clouds added?
I'm thinking Mark Charette's in the chat. I think I saw him in there. Mark, are those clouds real or Memorex? I'm gonna go with real. I'm gonna go with the real because I think I don't know. I know Luminar can do it, but I'm looking at the perspective of the clouds and how they're
I'm gonna say
the
they're
perspective
added.
of the
yeah,
foreground.
I'm gonna call it added. Yeah, there's some.
You say added, I say real.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, just the fact that we're having that disagreement means it's successful.
Look at now. Watch. Don't take this the wrong way. Look at the sky triangle between his legs. There's no clouds in there. Just saying.
Wait. Sorry, Craig Stampley. Yeah. Sorry, Craig. Yeah, you're right. There's nothing in there. Interesting. Okay.
It could be natural. It could be. But it's hard to say. It's hard to say. I do love the shot. I think that Craig got to use this as his profile pic for a while. This is pretty cool.
Yeah, this is cool. I like it. Yeah, you're right. That triangle. See, now I can't not look at that triangle, unfortunately.
Yeah, and the inside of his right arm, like right along his wrist, there's some artifacts in there too.
Oh,
Yeah,
interesting.
just above his thumb, on the inside of his right hand, there are some. It looks like there's some artifacts in there that don't match right above it. That's his left hand.
Oh, sorry. Yeah,
his right
camera stage.
Camera left. Yeah, it's hard to see, but I can see it better on my side because it's not being compressed. So, but I like it.
Very cool. Low base guy throws dollar bills. See that? That's awesome.
Yeah, I dig it though. I dig it. It's a fun shot. I love these shots. We should always take pictures of each other when we're out shooting too, right?
I think it's mandatory. Yeah. Okay, next shot up is from Armando. I think Armando's in the chat as well. Armando says, yeah, I think I saw his name early on. All these balloons were used to take the sky one big flag. I took with my small Sony RX100. Oh yeah, I love that camera. And processed in Lightroom. Let's take a look. There's that border again. You're influencing the masses with your opinions on borders, Troy Miller.
It's awesome. They've seen the light. Pun intended. I love the play of the red and the blue here. I just think that's fantastic. I love that balance. I like the smoke in the background. I would clean up the background. I would take out those highlights, that structure on the left, and try to just maintain the person, the strings, and the balloons and that blue color. I think that's super cool. I love that a lot.
Yeah. Yep. What about, I agree. I would reduce the distractions in there. So you just have your guy and the balloons, maybe just his hands. I don't know. But it looks like it's a little tilted. Is it tilted to the stage left?
Yeah, it is. But I think it's okay in this, right?
There's balloons. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason to make it perfect unless that's just what you want. But I like the tilt in this. I think it's fun. It gives a sense of play. Off balance. He's carrying around all these balloons that we know really doesn't weigh anything, but can give you sort of a sense. Yeah, I like it.
Mass, yeah. Yeah, I think yeah, I like the tilt too, but I think I would want either an exaggerated tilt or no tilt. So
Mm,
either you know what I mean? So either go really put that guy in a corner or close to the corner and rotate it that direction so that you got that sort of
yeah,
diagonal energy happening, or go with symmetry and put him right in the middle and make him perfectly vertical. I don't know.
yeah. 7 degrees. 7 degrees is the magic tilt.
Oh,
It's the
where'd that come
magic.
from?
I don't remember. There's actually a location that I photographed at called 7 Degrees in Laguna Beach, and it's just off just enough to not be perfect, but it's not small enough that you don't notice it. And I can't
Hmm.
remember where I read about it. That's why the architect used 7 degrees when he built that place. But 7 degrees, it works. 7 degrees. Yeah.
Oh, I thought it had something to do with Kevin Bacon or something. But cool.
Kevin
All
Bacon.
right.
I get the Matrix references. I don't get the Kevin Bacon reference.
You never heard of the whatever like all celebrities are somehow connected to Kevin Bacon? You never
Oh,
heard of
okay.
that?
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I have.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Seven
Six
degrees
degrees
of
of Kevin Bacon or something like that. Yeah.
3 degrees.
Thank you, Armando. All right, next up is Low Base Guy. He says, "You don't need all those small children, do you? You can always make more." That's just wrong.
Oh,
Thank
Josh.
you, sir. Can I have another? That's what that looks like. I'll help you with those college bills. I'll help you.
Yeah. I dig.
Wow.
I
Yeah,
think
this
it's
is great.
one of these days. I want to go photograph these beasts. It's just
I was
they just
just thinking the same thing, man. We should all like when the world starts spinning again, we should make a
yeah.
workshop out by where Joshua is and have him tour us around to all of these spots.
Yep. Yeah. I agree. I agree. Very cool. Very cool shot. I don't really have a whole lot to add to it. I mean, other than I'm so used to seeing his images in black and white, I think black and white would lend itself to this a lot. But it's a fun shot. It's a fun shot, and it's well done, of course. Nice and sharp.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I think I agree with you. The only thing that I would change, even with it in black and white, was this little structure thing, shadow something on the left there. Probably would have got rid of that, and which would have been easy with the water on this side. That's a easy content aware fill clone whatever. Just so that it's because it's distracting over there. I see it's all the same back there. Obviously, the subject is the Tyrannosaurus in the middle, and then this guy over on the left side is sort of taking me out of the reality and away from
Yeah.
the subject.
Yeah. Yeah. Very
Very
cool.
cool. All right, thank you, Joshua. Next shout up is from Eric Pronsky, and Eric says, Gateway Arch in St. Louis, Missouri. Please check on it. Yeah, yeah. He said click. He let me know that the preview was cropping, but this is the full view of the shot.
Yeah, it does. And I don't always click on the previews when I'm looking at the images as we scroll. And I have to remember that because it does crop it, which is kind of a
It
bummer.
does inexplicably. Yeah, it does.
I I love this shot a lot. This is amazing to me. I mean, really because you've got this leading line coming in from the left. You've got the depth of the clouds, and then you've got this circular um, object. I know it's a light, but it fits right there in that little niche. I think there's so many things going on, and no matter how you rotate this image, it's going to be cool.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, I agree. That's on my list to see the Gateway Arch at some point. Yeah, I agree with it. Or agree with you on this one. Black and white on this shot. Does it help the shot? Or does it just push you into looking at the geometric shapes in the shot? Or would you rather see the sort of wispy clouds and blue background in, to sort of give it more of a sense of place?
I think that the cool thing about a shot like this is that it could work either way. So, blue sky, the arch is sort of a metallic color. It's metal, so it's monochromatic in and of itself. So you're not going to get any color contamination from that. So it would work in color. I think it would work great in color. It would also work with many different crops too. So you could crop it square, you could crop it vertical like this. You could even go for a semi horizontal where, the arch is coming in the lower left and the lamp is leading out on the lower right. I mean, there's so many things that you can do with this image. It's really quite wonderful. But yeah, color or black and white.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. I dig it. Yeah, and this is again one of those shots like we were talking about in the beginning that it's hard to find a distinct perspective or a unique perspective on. I mean, the St. Louis, Missouri Gateway Arch is iconic, right? So, which means it attracts a lot of people like us with cameras. So, which means there are a lot of photos of it. So, yeah, I think you did a spectacular job capturing it. And like you said, at some point, it's image gathering for yourself versus trying to do something unique for other people, right?
Right. And I've been there. I've photographed the arch. I did not see the arch right away, which is another thing that I find to be really wonderful is that when you tell me that it's the arch, I'm like, "Oh, I see it." But I don't see it immediately. I just see the shapes and the clouds and it feels hot and humid, or whatever. Like this could have been in Colorado for all I know. Like this could be a little tiny arch. We don't know. We don't even know
True.
scale.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. That's right. Yeah, he could have turned it on its side and taken the light post out of there. It could have been a road,
It,
right? That's leading away in perspective.
oh, you know what that is? That's the halo ring. That's what that is.
Nice. Yeah, put some lights on there. Look like little windows. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. That's the halo.
Yeah, look at that. Your inner gamer coming out.
Oh, because there's a new halo coming.
Hey, my 19-year-old nephew's here. I got schooled on how to really play Call of Duty last night. So, how not to play Call of Duty like an old man.
Yeah, yeah, just don't play it at all.
That's what I took away from it. Waste of
Yeah,
time. Don't go read.
yeah, go read. Yeah, go read.
All
Go play.
right. Here's a shot from Peter Levshin. Peter says the Sony Ace. Look at all those letters. Look at this. Like, do we have to really remember all these letters? Look at this. Okay, I'm just gonna say the brand. Peter shot this with his Sony Third World Electric Grid. Nothing fancy, but it seems to work.
Yeah,
Yeah, I remember seeing stuff like this in Vietnam. It was like you look up and it's just like rat's nest of danger, but everything worked. So
yeah.
yeah, it's cool.
And I love the composition of the where the pole is coming in and how the cluster of wires isn't dead center. I would probably crop a little bit more off the right just to move that center over even more. And then this is one of those images like what we talked about where it's tilted just enough that it feels off, but not enough that it feels intentional. So I would like to see the horizon, the horizontal lines be perfectly horizontal
Yep,
or
I agree.
twist right or really off 7 degrees.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yep, I agree. Yeah, especially when you have horizontal lines that are stretching across the span of an image, your brain wants them to be straight. But looking at this, I wonder if I didn't bring this in the Photoshop to do my guides trick, but I wonder if he was rotating to make the roof line horizontal, and if so, was that the right play? Should he have done the power lines instead of the roof line?
I don't think any of it's horizontal. To be honest, I think it's all off. I
You're just being mean to Peter.
mean, I see that, so I'm gonna check it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I wonder. Well, so what's the right play? So if let's say he did use the roof line as his guide to make the image horizontal, was that correct or incorrect? Should he have gone with the power lines instead?
I think it's again it's up to interpretation. I would tweak it so that everything stays as horizontal as possible, unless there's an actual power line that is askew. But I would start with the building because I think the building is like the hard placement, right? It's the structure. So I would start there. I would start with the building.
Okay, cool. All right, thank you, Peter.
Yeah, the power lines are
Peter,
going to go. Greg Colvin just said the power lines aren't straight; they come from different pole angles, and I agree. That's why I would start with the building.
good point. Good point. All right, James Glenny's up next. James Glenny says, I can't get around well enough to take specific critique photos yet due to just having major abdominal surgery. Ouch. But I figured I can at least get back into things with re-edits of old shots. Absolutely. I'm actually
Nice.
doing that.
And James
This is
in
one
the
from.
chat.
Oh, yeah, it's cool. Yeah, there's that beard. I see the orangeness popping out. Uh, this is one from a few years ago, looking up at the side of our new central library, shot with this Canon. Let's take a look.
This
There
is
you go.
great.
That's the magic of RAW, right? I mean, if you're re-editing RAW files and RAW processing engines change over time and do better, it's kind of it kind of like is mandatory for you to go back and look at shots again to see if the new RAW processing software can make them better.
Yeah, James, now is a really good time to play with Capture One. Go back and re-edit those files and dive into Capture One if you're not using Capture One already. Um, but I will say I love this image, and I think this image needs to stay in color because I know that question's going to come up.
Yeah, of course, of course.
um, because only because that off skew piece of the building, the architecture is a different color, and I think we need to see that. I
Hmm.
I don't I I'm challenged by how much sky we should leave in there, though. I really feel like the image could be more square, and what I would love to see is a sliver of sky, the same size of sliver, and then the building, the first sliver of the building, and then the sliver of the red part of the building, and then the last sliver of the building. I would love to see those
Yeah,
almost equal in size,
I agree.
right?
I agree.
I think that would be very cool.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. Yeah, I was gonna say yeah the to either make it square so that you're looking at it, then it becomes about the patterns and less about the sky because then you see the like looking from camera left to camera right you see the grid, the large grid of windows, then the sort of askew red grid, and then another grid, and then if that final pattern was clouds, your brain would say, okay, this is a building. I see the reflection, but the artist chose to chop it off right there. As it is right here, it looks like it's waiting for something like copy or some other compositing element or something. It looks like it's waiting. Maybe even a plane or something should be in there flying over. So it feels like it needs one more element if you leave it with this much sky in there.
Yeah, and James says he's about a year into Capture One, so yay. Um, but yeah, yeah, I agree with your crop. Yeah, yeah, that's the way that
Yeah,
we should do that.
cool. What about his border and key line?
Um, it's a little much for me. The black line, then the white line, then the black background. It's a little distracting. I mean, it's okay. It would get hammered in competition if this was in one of our affiliate competitions. That would get picked on a lot. Um,
What would you have done differently with this image with respect to the border?
um, I probably would have just put a very thin white key line and then black because really you got to keep in mind the key line is just there to delineate the end of the image, and then the matte is there to separate the image from whatever background it's on. So that's how I use them.
Okay, cool. All right, thank you, Mr. Gliddy. Moving right along to Ernest Hallett or Halle. He says the new meaning or the new look up meaning. Oh, okay, I get it. I get it. Okay, I get it. What do you think?
I think it's very creative. I think it's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I think we should. I
Yeah.
think it would have been fun to have a term in there, right? Like, is Frederick really that cool? Like, that would have been a good thing.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, and it would return with the answer is decidedly no, right? So, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I think that's exactly what I was thinking. I was thinking two things. I was thinking or several things. I love the concept, and thinking outside of the box versus interpreting the critique topic literally. So bravo for that. B, my brain wants a search term in there because we're all groomed to Google, right? So not having a search term in there is messing with me. It's like something needs to be in there. I need to look something up. But then the candle. Is this a candle I'm looking at in the foreground, or what? Because I'm confused about that element.
Yeah, I wasn't sure either, and I don't know, so I'm just gonna go with an abstract, but I don't understand the placement in the image, you know.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, we could use some clarification on that because yeah, I was curious about that too. I get, want to do a composite and not just making it a screenshot, but the element in the foreground, I need to, and maybe it would go better with a, some sort of description, to say, or a story that goes along with that. So I don't know.
Exactly.
And Josh was throwing shade in the chat saying, "Search is Frederick actually a photographer, or is that a rumor? Be careful." Let me bring that up on the screen. Be careful of sticking your hand in the lion's cage if you can't fight a lion, Mister Low Base guy. be afraid. Troy knows I'm holding back. I'm trying to be nice here. When you insult my photography, then I can take the gloves off. All right,
Uh,
here we
oh,
go.
good.
Next up is Nora Zanotnas. Nora says, Jupiter and the Milky Way. Tree in the foreground is a quiver tree with a Nikon.
That's
That's a
cool.
quiver tree? I could have, yeah, clearly I'm no botanist, but I would have said that was a Joshua tree because I'm from an area where there are lots of Joshua trees. So everything
Yeah.
looks like a Joshua tree.
Yeah. No, this is really cool. I dig this a lot. A little bit light spillage in the lower right hand corner from the painting of light on the tree itself. Maybe burn that down, to shadow. But other than that, I think it's great. I think it's really fun. And when you shoot the sky and you shoot stars and you shoot trails and things like that, one of the hard things is a good foreground. And
Yes.
this has a great foreground. So I dig it.
I've seen shots similar to this. So I had a couple of. I really wanted to get your thoughts on this because you have experience shooting Milky Way and astrophotography. So I was wondering, is it too dark, or is it not dark enough? With regards, you said before that the area around the stars you prefer it to be darker and the Milky Way to be a little bit saturated. And then I've seen other work from other photographers with similar shots to this, where they will paint in, with a flashlight or whatever elements in the foreground to bring them out. Would this have benefited from that, or are you happy with the processing of the Milky Way and the silhouettes of the foreground elements?
I love the silhouettes. I think it's great. And to anybody that's watching this on YouTube only, you can't even see the tree. It looks like it's completely crushed out. Like the blacks
Oh
have gone.
wow! Oh yeah, I see it in the feed. Yeah, wow.
Yeah, yeah, you can't see it. It's
See if I
amazingly
can
subtle, and
bring.
I'm sure that even what we received, the image that we received in the Mighty, doesn't have the full latitude. So there's a lot of subtleties in this image that I really, really appreciate, from the slightly warm tone on the horizon, which is light pollution from some distant, light source like a city or whatever, and then the cool tones of the sky. And I do like how it's treated. I like how the darks in the sky are dark enough. It feels like nighttime, as opposed to a lot of times it's over open, like you said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Mm. Yeah.
very cool. You got to do a class on this on astrophotography, Troy Miller.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, it's fun. Astrophotography is great, and I only know like the first 10% of it. There's so much that you can do, and so far you can go into astrophotography. It's really amazing, from custom camera conversions and image stacking and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
whole world. And my dad at one point was, I don't know if he ever got it, but he was thinking about getting one of those, those fancy smancy telescopes that track, so you could just
yeah.
point it at, some certain constellation. It'll just follow it pixel accurate. So you could do long exposures and all kinds of things like that.
Yeah, well, that's one of the amazing things that you can do, because there are light sources. There are nebulas and clouds and other solar systems that or was it galaxies? I get those two crossed up. That you can see in the night sky, if you can stack the imagery right. If you do a long enough exposure, you can pull those out. So it's really quite cool. I've never gone that far into it. It gets expensive and very very niche, and I'm lazy. So.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I wonder if the Milky Way is kind of like we were talking about other landscapes, right? Because it's been here longer than every other landscape around here. Right? So how
Right.
do you get a good shot of it?
Right.
So Allegedly, if you believe in that whole speed of light thing, I don't know.
It's just a
It's just a theory. All right. Next shout up is from Mark Harris. Mark says, looking up or for looking up while looking around in trees for birds, I spotted the squirrel holding on tight. Maybe he's recovering from too many nuts the night before. Shot it as an icon. That's awesome.
that is so
Yeah.
good.
Look at that squirrel. Got his feet in the right position. That's a squirrel couch right there. That's chill. It's a
Yeah.
perfect support of his weight right there.
Yep. Yep. I wonder what he was doing. Yeah, he's checking Mark out. He's like, dude, little privacy, please.
And you know, not to be too insensitive, but why are you calling this guy a he? And why did I just say guy? But why are squirrels always male? I don't know. Why are dogs always male?
Like Kleenex, like hand me a Kleenex, right? Or
Yeah,
Google that. Yeah,
I
fun
love it. So
shot.
what do you think of the shot? And you know, compositionally, processing wise, clearly fits the topic of the critique. Looking up, of course. But what do
Yeah,
you think? What are your thoughts?
I think it's a lot of fun. I think it's a fun shot. I wish that there was more focus on the squirrel's face, right? Like maybe bring a little bit of light into the squirrel's eyes or into the mask of his face a little bit. One of the things that I've seen Joshua Low Bass Guy do on his stream is he really works the eyes a lot on
Yeah.
his creatures, and it makes such a difference. Because as humans we tend to gravitate towards faces and eyes. And so a little bit of life in those eyes would really make this image pop. And I like the color. I like that green background. I think that's great. It works in this
I
one.
agree. I agree. I just want to know how he managed to get that squirrel to smile like that. That's amazing. All right, good shot. Moving right along. Thank you, Mark Harris. Next up is Lamb. Lamb says, my entry for the theme looking up, the fully extended long, huge white boom arm against deep blue sky caught my attention. The concrete casting was in progress. I consider myself lucky to be at the scene as I absolutely have no idea what the casting schedule since the project belongs to others. Having said that, weather is the ultimate decision maker, whether the casting should proceed or not. Shot it with an icon. I love those colors. I love
I
the colors.
I do. I'm looking at this image, and the only thing that is distracting to me is the lower right corner. Those two panels, those concrete panels or walls that are reflecting. Just burning those down would be really great. But I love the symmetry of this, and then the color palette, the green, the red, and the blue of the sky. This is great. And the crane is definitely the hero.
You wouldn't have used Luminar 4 to throw some clouds in there, Troy?
I would have. Yes, I would have.
I know. Maybe just wispy clouds. You know what I found, like in Luminar, playing around with the cloud replacement or the sky replacement feature. It loves shots like this, of course, and
Oh,
it will do a great job on this shot. But for me, it's always less is more. Like I'd rather just throw a couple of wispy or puffy clouds in there versus dramatic, high contrasty, Trey Ratcliffe HDR clouds. I want some
right.
just enough that are plausible. I want plausible clouds in the shots.
Yes, and that's the other thing is too is when I talk about adding clouds, I'm not talking about adding, storm clouds. Even the slightest wisp of a cloud adds depth because in our imaginations we know clouds are far away. So it just adds depth to the image.
Yeah, I agree. Very cool. Thank you, Lamb. All right, next shout up is from Michael Rhino. Michael Rhino's in the chat, I think. I thought I saw his name in there.
Yeah,
Michael
wise.
Rhino says, my entry for looking up this photo is this photo of the Neowise comet that I took in Rocky Mountain. Oh, okay, I get it. I'm reading it wrong. My photo for looking up is this photo of the Neowise comet that I took in Rocky Mountain National Park. 8 images stacked in starry landscape stacker to reduce noise, shot with an icon. Let's take a look. All right, you're the expert. You are the galactal expert in this case. So what do you think?
It's a fun shot. It's cool. It's out of focus, but it's fun to see. It's a cool shot. Like I don't have a shot on EOIs, so but it is out of focus. It's
Yeah.
soft because we should see better points on the stars.
Hmm.
So it's out ever so slightly, which is hard. Stars are a lot harder to get sharp than you would think.
What direction is this comet moving in? Because I know the trail is produced by the solar wind, right? So it's not necessarily the direction of the comet, right? We always think a comet has a tail because it's moving away from its tail, but in reality, that tail is produced by solar wind blowing dust and gases off of the comet. So the comet could be moving in a completely different direction. I wonder which direction it's moving in right
The
now.
the horizon is below us, right? The horizon,
Mm-hmm.
this is oriented correctly, so the horizon is down, but I don't know what direction, like northeast or
Yeah.
I
You
am
know what I
not.
mean? Like this comet, if the sun, let's say the sun is directly in front of this comet, on the other side of the planet, but the comet can see it because it's way out there, right? So the solar wind would be pushing the tail away, but that comet could be moving left to right from our perspective, which is weird.
Yeah, Craig says it's moving right to left and slightly up.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. So it's going in like a right to left and slightly. Oh, okay. Yeah. See? Very
yeah.
cool. Love that
I
stuff. Love it.
photograph a thing. I don't necessarily have to know what the thing is or how it.
That's from your wedding training, right?
Yeah. I mean, but there's something to be said for that in that light is light. So,
Yeah.
you should be able to capture pretty much anything reasonably well. I just don't speak comet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I hear you. You don't speak nerd. I know. I know the subtext, Troy Miller. I know what you're trying to say. All right, and that's it. Oh no, it's not it. Wait, did I not sort these?
I
There's
think
way more. There's more in here. I don't think I sorted these right.
uh,
If I didn't, yeah, I didn't. We're screwed then. Date
they cur-
created.
that one, that
So
one,
we did
that one.
that one. We did that one. We did that one. That one. That one.
Yeah, no, we did. We got them all.
No, there's more. There's this one. We stopped here. So there's Craig. There's Matthew. There's DeRay. Yeah,
Uh,
there's a lot.
yeah, you're right.
There's
What the
like four
heck?
more, 4 or 5 more. Yeah, that was me. That's user error.
Okay.
All right, next one. Yeah, we gotta finish this up real quick. So Craig Colvin, up submission, taken at the UK Pavilion at the World Fair in Milan. Craig's so cultured and worldly.
I know. I know. I dig this one. Right away, I appreciate the fact that that circle is not dead center. I appreciate that it feels balanced left to right. I think it's slightly left, but I love the fact that it's above center horizon and that the two lower right hand corners feel the same, right? You get that curve in the lower right hand corners, which I think gives it this image needs symmetry. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I dig that. Yeah, I really dig that.
Yeah, I do too. This is really cool. This is one of those images. It's like the kaleidoscope nature of this image draws you in and makes your brain try to figure out what's happening. And you see the
Yeah,
bottoms of feet, and you're like, okay, I see this kaleidoscope around the edge, but I see bottoms of feet, which means I'm below them. Where is this? Especially if you've never been here before. So,
yeah. And the more I look at it, the more that I see that I really love. And I love right at 6 o'clock in the open circle, you see there's like a face of somebody looking down at us. I think that's great.
yeah,
It's
yep,
so much fun. You can see the feet. So
yep, that is really cool. Good job, Mr. Colvin.
great image.
All right, next up, Matthew Feist. Matthew says, I am in beer sales. You had me at that. All right. He says, I am in beer
I
sales.
know.
And this is a gas station near Dayton, Ohio, that I am in every few months. One day I was parked. I looked up and saw the potential for a photograph, but the lighting was not right. The sky was a dull gray, blue, and there were clouds, and the humidity was high, so it wasn't very crisp. I waited for a clear day in the winter, in the late morning hours when the sun was hitting just right, and the sky was a nice, deep, rich blue. Shot on his Nikon. Always Nikons.
Yeah, lots of Nikons in here.
Yeah.
This is really great. uh, it's so abstract, and I love the fact that each segment is a different size. So the blue
Hmm.
is slightly bigger, slightly taller than the red, and then the white below that. Wouldn't know what it is unless
Right.
you described it, which I
Yeah, my
think.
first guess would have been a flag of some sort, and my brain would have been like, "Is what? Whose flag is that?" Yeah, yeah. I like the irregular nature of the sizes of the different rectangles in there.
Mhm.
The one thing that almost tripped me up was the white part of it because I wasn't like in. I think it was just a factor of Mighty Networks because it wasn't showing me initially when I looked at it. I was like, oh, this is just a blue and a red bar, right? So or orangish bar. So I was looking at it from that perspective. It wasn't until I really sat down to look at the image that it's three segments. So, but yeah, it's cool.
Right, and this is one of those images that would really benefit from some matting, from some presentation, right? Like,
Hmm.
even if it's just on a black background, with a very, very thin, probably, like a black key line with a white background or something to separate it. Because like the way that we're viewing it now, it's sitting on white, and I think it does this image a disservice. So if you were going to hang this in a
Hmm.
gallery, you might mat it in a black mat, or something
Yeah,
of that nature to separate it.
yeah, yeah, and just yeah, and that would just put sort of a punctuation on the intentionality of this shot. Like I meant to do this like this, and I put it in this frame to present it to you.
Right.
So yeah, I like it. Very cool. All right, next shot is from Michael DeRay. And Michael DeRay says, we've fallen and we can't get up with the pandemic, civil unrest, and all of the he said, she said going on in government these days. Wouldn't a big life alert button be great right about now? Hopefully things start to look up in 2021. Yeah. Amen, brother.
I love that. What a great symbol in this story. I love this.
Hmm.
It tells a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We all need one of those buttons. Unfortunately, if we all had one of those buttons, they would mean nothing because everybody would be pressing them at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. We would overload the
So,
system and then they wouldn't know what to do.
oh yeah, they
Um,
just turn off. Like everyone calling 911 at once. It's like okay, everything
yeah.
can't be an emergency.
Looking at the image, I would really love to see the hand sort of as a secondary subject, meaning that it's too bright, and I think that it would be better if it was darker.
Yeah.
And let the flag and the tree be the hero. Let them come out, and let the hand kind of be the secondary story, part of the story. If
Hmm.
if nothing else, just burn down the highlights on the hand because I think they're too bright.
Yeah, yeah, or well, yeah, and I would say a couple things. Like, yeah, the tree, the light source coming out of the tree is overpowering the main subjects, which are the flag and the hand with the life alert button. So, yeah, push that tree back or bring those values down a little bit, and bring the flag up a little bit to make it pop more and sell the story. Because this shot isn't about that tree. I might even crop in a little tighter on the tree in the hand. The second thing is the life alert button. Not everyone, I would argue, very few people know what a life alert button is, especially internationally. So, yeah, something else to sort of sell that so that we know if you're going for this sort of conceptual art, what that is and what's that message you're trying to tell without having to make the presumption that the viewer knows what a life alert button is.
Correct. Correct. Yeah. But I mean, some of that can also just be subtlety in the storytelling. If you get it,
Mm-hmm.
great. Get it, great. That's up to the creator, the storyteller, the reference to that. I actually didn't see that until you read the description. So that's just one of those kind of things that are kind of like a little hidden Easter egg in the image for some.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. Very cool. Yeah, and this would be perfect, like as an illustration, right? So if you're illustrating a story, like you said about pandemic and global unrest and just sort of the overall state of alert that the country is in or the world is in right now, then this being accompanied by a story is perfect, right? It tells when you're reading the words, you look over, oh, I see what he was talking about. So,
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
all right. Next shot, second to last shot, is from Craig Stanfley. Didn't we do a Craig Stanfley already? No, we had Craig Stanfley in a shot.
Yeah.
Okay, so Craig says, looking up. All right,
Yeah.
yeah, this is cool.
Yeah, this is really cool.
I'm a fan of any kind of shot like this, or any shot that's from a unique perspective. And this, like we're talking about, like trying to get a unique perspective on landscapes or whatever is difficult. But if you have the superpowers to shoot, the human form underwater straight up like this,
Yeah.
that's probably a perspective most of us. I don't know, Troy Miller, you're kind of a James Bond, but most of us probably would never have seen this perspective in our lives, right?
I
So.
mean, whether you're shooting landscapes or a building like what we just saw, or you're doing, portraits, it's all about trying to find an angle that's unique. And sometimes you don't have an intention to do it, but you have to keep your mind open. And you see it and go like, oh my gosh, I have to get that shot. And you have to go back. So I wonder to Craig, like, was this a shot he planned, or was this just a shot that he saw as he was prepping for something and decided like, oh, I love this,
Yeah, I
I
wonder. I wonder. Yeah.
I dig the image. I think the image is fantastic. I think it's great. It looks like she's cold because she looks like she's got um, little goosebumps all over. So I wish that wasn't the case. I wish that she had that really nice smooth skin, but maybe that's more storytelling. Just the fact that it's cold too.
You know what'd be interesting with a shot like this, or like with it, even if this was an implied nude shot, and because I know Craig does those fairly often. If you had a shot with her topless, but the top part of her body outside of the water, so it's
Yeah.
obscured by the water undulations. That would have been interesting, and then crop up a little bit so you don't see the bottom part. Yeah, that'd been really interesting. See, so much to do.
Yep, I love it. I love it. It's great, great shot. One of the things that looking at this image that makes me think is like, I wonder if you could focus on a bubble in the foreground and then have her out of focus, or your subject out of focus in the background, right? But then
Mm,
we'd still know we're underwater. The reflections would still look like reflections underneath, and but focus on a bubble. I
yeah.
can't do
Yeah, I hear you. All right, moving right along. Last but not least is from Steve Van Sickle. Steve says, looking up the other night, the DC area had an absolutely wild lightning storm, so frequent and intense that I warned my friends online not to look if they'd ever dealt with epilepsy. Oh, yeah, the flashes. It was that rapid. So I perched on my balcony, watched the plastic chairs blow off another, set up a tripod on the very edge of the rain that thankfully never engulfed me. Shot with a Fuji.
Wow.
Yeah, I miss those, man. See, you lived in the Midwest before, so you're no stranger to crazy thunderstorms, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. I love them. I love them. When I hear
Yeah.
thunder, I go outside.
Yeah. We very rarely get it in California. It's just we don't have, especially not these kinds of just crazy electrical storms. So,
Couple years ago, we had a series of crazy storms coming through, and I had lightning like this over my house. And I have
hmm
photos of it, and I've lived here, all my life pretty much, and I've never ever ever seen that. So, but Midwest, yeah, the stuff is everywhere,
yeah.
and on the desert, it's really cool. I dig it. This image is really fun. It's tilted a little bit to the right, so I would say, let's tilt it back to the left just a bit. And the fact that he shot it in infrared is pretty cool too.
hmm Yep.
Yeah,
I dig it. Very
yeah,
cool. Yeah, I wanna. Yeah, so much to do. That's the cool thing about photography. There's many different things to try. You could just be shooting for a lifetime and never shoot everything you want to shoot.
yep.
So, what do you think? You said you had a favorite. What's your favorite out of the bunch, Troy Miller?
My favorite is Eric Pronsky's.
Eric Pronsky's, huh?
Yeah.
Let's see. Let me scroll up and find it. Where
Yes.
is Eric Pronsky? Oh, this one. Oh, the arch.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
I gotta.
definitely one of my favorite. I love, so many of them as well, but that one I think is really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool.
Yep. And look, there's a horizontal image in there too, across the top. See?
Oh yeah, Yeah, I see what Troy's saying that because it's, the website is designed to be horizontal. So whenever we have a vertical favorite, it's always challenging. So, but yeah, no, this is really cool. But on the other hand, I hate cropping other people's images. So that's
Right,
not fun.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is cool. Very cool. All right, Mr. Pronsky, congratulations. You are the next contestant on The Price is Right. So
Pick the
cool.
topic
All
you
right.
said.
So all is left to do is to pick our topic for next week. I was thinking that we would go with, and tell me what you think. I was thinking mundane.
Mundane.
Mun- Mundane. Something ordinary and mundane that we see
Huh.
every day. We see it every day and take it for granted. But it's useful and necessary in our daily lives. So it becomes mundane because we take it for granted.
I like
And
it.
no taking pictures of your significant other, just to make a point. Just like
Ouch.
this
No.
has to be something not a human, okay?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that would be
uh,
fun. Yeah, that's a good
yeah.
topic. I like that one.
Yep. Cool. All right. So that is a mundane for next week, Mr. Pronsky. Congratulations on being this week's favorite. Thank you, everyone, for your submissions. This is always fun. I love doing this live. We're going to continue doing this as much as we can, and make what my goal would be is to make recording this not live the backup plan, and the
Right.
primary plan is to stream it live.
Right.
Um, and that would only happen if we don't have time or life otherwise gets in the way. Um, any final thoughts? I know you mentioned Kira and you are going to be doing the website duel on Wednesday. What are the details on that? Where can people go to sign up for that?
You can go to ieppv.com and there will be a registration link there. I can also post the link in the TWiP community. I'll do that. So it's free. So I'll post that in there so people can just go ahead and register. So yeah, and it starts
Okay.
at 6. Yeah, we start at 6 o'clock sharp on Wednesday, California time.
Excellent. Six
Yeah.
o'clock sharp. All right. Awesome. Well, thanks everybody for participating. Before we end the stream, please go ahead and give us a thumbs up if you would. And if you're interested in seeing these critiques, go ahead and subscribe to the channel so that you get alerted when we publish one or I schedule one. I think you'll even get an alert when I schedule it. And then you'll get alerts before it goes live if you choose to be reminded on that scheduled video. So cool. All right, Troy Miller. Thank you, sir.
Yep.
And
Thank you,
I
buddy.
guess we'll
Thanks.
have everyone, including you, Troy, have a fantastically mundane week. I think we could use a little mundane in our lives.
Yeah, we could. Yeah, we could. Mundane and
Okay.
Sam.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, everyone, have a good week. And TWiP Pro members, we will see you all Friday at 6 p.m. U.S. Pacific in the Zoom. You know where to go.
Yes. Be safe.
All right. See you later. Bye.